All right, welcome back again, everybody. Something a little different here. One of the most frequent questions that I get is, how do you earn more game currency? Well, the easiest way to do it is basically to run the highest paying races. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through basically in order the highest paying races that you can run to start off the game. So the first two are in the Amateur Career Series. First one is here, Pure Stock Challenge, and it's all the way at the end, and it is the final race. It's a 3-lap cup at Silverstone. I may actually have all these cars fully upgraded. Let me look in and see what the PR requirement. So the PR requirement is 22 for that race, and so the only two cars that meet that is either the Challenger RT or this BMW. The BMW is a very, very good car, so that's the one I'm going to run it with. For this one, I'm not going to get the manager and I'm not going to get the agent. When I come to the end, look at what I get, and basically that is doubled. That's what the manager and the agent does when you win the race. It doubles your winnings. It's a 3-lap race. It's not a short race by any means, but it is a good race. It's on the bridge circuit, which is a fun track to drive. So this is the first race that you come to that is really an effective race for farming. I don't remember exactly what it pays. We'll come to that in a minute. Obviously, we'll find out exactly what it pays when the race is over. I'm going to try to run these races mostly clean, not spin cars out, not cut corners, that sort of thing. This is a good race, and it's in a good car, and it's not so long that you start to dislike things. You can play it every now and then, but the biggest thing with farming for race dollars and for fame points, and then obviously fame points turn into gold, is that you really just have to take the highest paying race that you have and run it multiple times. That's the concept, and so this one is really the first one that you unlock. So you run this one. Now the truth is, for everybody, gold is the bottleneck. Nobody has enough gold, really, no matter how long you've been playing. I mean, I do know some people who play the game a lot and have, 25,000, 30,000 gold in their accounts, and that's just, it's just ridiculous, but it does happen, and I know who they are, I know how they play, so I do actually believe it's legitimate that they have that much. But really the only way to have that much is to be so tight with spending it that basically you never spend it. You never spend it on anything. Whereas obviously I have, you know, a tenth of that, and you know, if it's something that, you know, if I have to spend the gold on it, I spend the gold on it. I mean, I try to win the special events, spending a modest amount of gold. You know, I don't fully upgrade the cars, but you know, it's there. This race is really fun. This is not my favorite of the Silverstone circuits. I do actually like the Grand Prix circuit the best, but this one's not bad. I forget the exact reason they had to redo it. I think it was something with the Formula One organizers, and they didn't like the way that the track started. You know, now I know when I said I started this race, I wasn't going to cut any corners or anything, but if I can't actually catch this car, which it looks like I will, if I can't actually catch him, I will cut it across the corner, because I'm not. One thing with me, running farming races, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not trying to do anything for skill. I'm simply coming out here and just running laps to earn currency for the game. It's not about skill. It's not about driving pretty. I don't care that I'm spinning the car out or wrecking or any of that. Certainly, if you do run a clean race, the clean race bonus that you get in racing dollars would be a little higher, but you know, that's not worth a tremendous amount. But here we go, right down to the finish on this one, and then we'll see what it's worth. So 5.5 minutes, you'll get a little over 15,000 race dollars. Let those count off. I may actually get some friends bonuses. No, that's weird. And then 2,700 fame. For me, that's, you know, that's not a significant amount. You could see that it just barely moved the meter. But obviously, for someone who's, you know, only at driver level 10 or 12 or 20, something like that, that would be fairly significant. And then it doubles. So what are we looking at? 52,000 race dollars and 5,400 fame points. So, you know, that's good. That's a good one. And for 45 minutes, I'll just put it in for service. As you can see, because I was fully upgraded, you know, if you were fully serviced, you could run that race probably 3 times and not actually have to use the engineer. You wouldn't have to spend money on the engineer. So the next best race in order is right here, Street Spec Skirmish. And again, it's the last race on there, Mount Panorama. Another one of my custom jobs. I did that one to look like Richard Petty's car. And that one is Jeff Gordon. I forget who this one is. I was feeling a little bit whimsical when I did that and did it in gold. And then, of course, this one, the Skyline, I did in Wonder Bread. That was an actual NASCAR paint job that was done in response to the movie Talladega Nights. I'm not going to use the manager and the agent for this one either. So this one is the best race in the amateur career series, and it's actually better than any race in the Pro-Am series or the Pro series. There are some cheaper races in, or not cheaper, but better paying races in NASCAR, but they are very expensive to unlock. This car here, it's probably only, 25 or 30 gold to fully upgrade, and the car itself is fairly cheap. You know, 50 or 60,000 race dollars to buy the car. Whereas with the NASCARs, in order to unlock the best paying races, which is a 12-lap cup race at Daytona, you have to have a car that is the cheapest one is 720,000 racing dollars, and then it's about that same amount to upgrade it, and then probably a bit over 100 gold to upgrade it. And so it does pay good, but you really don't need to spend that, because after just a small handful of times running this race, you should be far enough to unlock the master career level, which I believe unlocks at level 32 now. I think it unlocks at 32. When I came through, it didn't unlock until level 50, and then the Legend series didn't unlock until level 100, but that has since been changed. Legend now opens at level 50, and so Master is something, something less than that. I think it's right around 30 or 32 to unlock that career series. And this car that I'm driving, the Z4 iDrive 32 or whatever exactly it's called, it's a very good car as well for this series. It's really the best. The other BMW, you can win the race with that. It does actually have high enough PR, and then once you have won the race, you can run it with any car, and I guess if you slow the bots down enough, you could probably win it even with the Skyline Gtr, which is another really fun car to race, even though I hardly ever race it anymore. That's actually what's kind of fun, and what actually had me want to do this video, is that it is actually kind of fun to come back and run these older cars, the lower level cars, that for me, I just never get to drive them anymore, because it's so time consuming to keep up with the updates that they come out with, and for me, there are a lot of races that pay substantially better than this in lower periods of time, but that's nature of having pretty much every race on the game unlocked. I don't actually have every single race on the game unlocked, but I am actually fairly close to that. I do have every series on the game unlocked, just not every race yet. And this track is actually one of my most favorite tracks on the game. It was one of the few tracks on the game that I had actually really heard of and watched very many races on before I downloaded the game, because I haven't watched Formula One in a number of years. I've started watching again last year and then this year, even though for me it is kind of difficult because all the races come on at 7 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and so it's not the most convenient thing in the world for me to try to watch Formula One. Obviously, I knew the NASCAR circuits: Daytona, Richmond, Indianapolis. I was familiar in passing with Laguna Seca. Obviously, I had heard of Monza, but Panorama was really the only track on the course that I had familiarity with, because I've watched the Bathurst 1000 several times, and if you see me driving really terribly right now, it's because I'm actually trying to look at my computer screen and drive rather than look at my device and drive, so that makes it difficult. Not necessarily difficult, just different. And I think I had better turn back to looking at the device now. What you'll discover as you go through these races is that a lot of times you can overtake a huge number of cars immediately at the start of the race. You saw here that I went around everybody on the right side of the straightaway going into the first turn, and by the time we cleared the first turn, I was probably in 10th place or something like that. You can do that on a lot of tracks. One place you certainly can't do it on is Laguna Seca, because when you do a 22-car field, the 22nd car is actually back around the what would be the final turn, coming back onto the start and finish straight, and so that is a very difficult start. Apparently, even though they said it was fixed, it's only been semi-fixed, because you can still grind on the walls to get faster times in the weekly time trial tournament. Many of the fastest times just grind the car up against the wall, both in the final turn that comes down onto the long straight, and then they also do it on the sharp left-hander that takes you up the hill. So there we go, another race done. And I'm sorry, I should have let that count off, but we'll see it in a second. So 3,900 fame. So 37,000 race dollars and 3,900 fame. Now I got a few extra race dollars because I beat, it looks like 5 of my friends and teammates. Scroll down. Yes, 5. So I beat 5. So that's a bonus that you may or may not get. But it's not a huge one. So either way, this pays good race dollars, good fame, and it is, as I said, the second best. It's the best race at this point in the series that you can run. And then we actually back out of the amateur series I'll show you the fastest races in NASCAR. They are here in the NASCAR All-Star Series. All the way at the end, the Daytona race pays very good. 7,500 fame or something like that. Indianapolis pays very good. Scroll over to this one. The Suzuka race pays okay. It's a fun race. I like racing it. And where are we next? Right there, the first race there at Catalunya, that pays very good. And then going back one more, that race at Daytona, the 10-lap race at Daytona. Those are the four best races on this series. So the 10-lap Daytona, the 12-lap Daytona, 10-lap Indianapolis, and 8 laps at Catalunya. Those are the best races. None of the other series, Preseason Rumble or Petty Motorsports or any of these over here, none of those pay very good. Nothing in the Talent Tour pays very good. Pro-Am, Pro, they don't pay great. There is a race in Expert that I will show you in Accolade Open that pays very well. It's here. It's that Suzuka race. Running that race is not as valid as it used to be because of how early in the game the Master Series opens now. With Master opening at level 32, you can be there very fast if you just set your mind to it. So now once you get to Master, Open Sky Challenge, I'll open it up and walk you through the Master Series. So there's 4 cars in this series. You have this Ariel Atom 3.5. That's a good car. It is available for race dollars only. This is a race dollar car. The KTM Crossbow is a very fun little car to drive, but it costs gold. I want to say it's 150 gold, so just skip it. There is another opportunity to get it. It does have another showcase event. The Caterham 7620, this is another car that can be earned with race dollars. And then there's the Ariel Atom V8. This car is only available in one series. It's a fun car to drive, but it's expensive. I think it's around 200 200 gold. So I would skip it, even though it only has one chance to get it. So you can get enough trophies in Open Sky Challenge with just the Ariel Atom 3.5 and the Caterham to open up the next series, and that is Euro Supercar Duel, Bentley Continental Supersports. As you can see, I bought some customizations and made it look like an old Dale Earnhardt NASCAR, which is interesting being a Bentley, but anyway. And then there's the Mercedes. Both these cars can be bought with race dollars only, and again, with only racing dollar upgrades, you can unlock Redline Origins. Redline Origins is a special event. I think it has 10 events, and you can go through them. You can win the car with just racing dollar upgrades. If you're smart about it, you have to do like you do in any of the special events. You have to try to, you may have to try to slow the cars down if you want to try to finish it with just race dollar upgrades. But it can be done. And then once you're there, it unlocks Classic Ferrari Showdown. And once you're in here, I'm actually going to show you a different race. There's this one all the way back at the beginning, level 2, and it's a 2-lap race at Le Mans. And I believe this race pays better than the race at Panorama, but I'm not going to drive it. You can there's information out there that shows you how much fame and race dollars this pays. So once you're here, this would most likely be the race to start driving over Panorama. But I'm going to go ahead to the big one, which is here in level 21. As you can see, it's at night. It's probably my least liked thing about this race, is that it is at night. I am going to hire the manager, and I'm going to hire the agent. Something else I also do with this race, and it's just really for the purposes of being able to relax, is I will put it in tilt A, and then I turn the brake assists and the steering assists on. Again, that's just for the purposes of me being able to relax and not having to really focus heavily on running the race. I have to, I do have to focus when I run like a weekly time trial event or something like that, or something where speed matters. But in reality, for this, I'm not trying to beat any records. I'm simply trying to come out here and run 4 laps around this racetrack and come in first. Rattlesnack there, what a great name. That is one of the top bots in the game. I think there's only 2 or 3 that are faster than that one. One of them is like Dr. Periwinkle or something like that, and then the other one is called Auralpod, Auralpod. Now this car right here, I'm actually going to come up beside it, and I'm going to pause the game when I get beside it, because it's obviously unique. It's not a solid color. So let's take a look. Actually, you can't even see it. So anyway, that car actually had customizations on it, which is very rare for Ferraris. Ferrari is very protective of their brand for their cars, and so at some point in time, it's believed that they told the developers of Real Racing 3 that they could no longer do customizations on Ferraris. So if you're racing against somebody who has a customized Ferrari, don't worry, they're not hackers. Well, they might not be. They're not hackers. They just have been playing the game for long enough that it was actually possible for them to customize the car. And as you saw, I ran off track there. I don't really worry about it. I thought I had enough. That was another one of those things with the high steering assist where I felt like it just broke the car loose and turned me right around. This one here, this turn leading into the Porsche curbs, if you use low assists, you have to get on the brakes before you get to the turn. Otherwise, you will be just off into the gravel. And here we come through the Ford chicanes, and that is 1 lap. 3 minutes 38 seconds for 1 lap. They are slow laps in this car. This is not a very fast car, relatively speaking, of course. There are a number of cars on the game that are far faster. But this race, based on how much it pays and the length of the race, actually pays more fame per minute driven on the track than any other. That's actually not true. All but, I think, 2 races on the game. This one is really the best. Now, as far as efficiency goes, for spending the agent and the manager, it is not the most efficient once you get to a certain point. Generally, the most efficient race, if you're going to use the manager, is one of the 10-lap races at this same track. There's 3 of them. There's 2 of them in Endurance Kings, 1 during the day and 1 at night. I think I have run the night race exactly once. I ran it to complete the series, and then that was it, because I don't really like running at night. It's just they're far easier races to run during the day rather than trying to do them at night. This section right here, this long straightaway, one of the fastest sections on the track. If you have an event that requires you to get a certain top speed at this track, normally the place to do it is on the first long straightaway, and then a second good place to do it is right there. This is actually not a terrible race to drive. I actually prefer to run this race a lot of the times over the 10-lap race, just because it's so short. It's a good. It pays really good, obviously, and then it's short. It doesn't take up so much of your time. For efficiency, as far as return on the gold spent, I could run one of the endless endurance races, in the new Ferrari or whatever, and go 150 or 200 miles or something, and then that would get to be more efficient than running this race or running a 10-lap race. But it takes so long to do those races that it just gets to be very, very tedious running those races. So I normally don't go more than about 100 miles in those races, but they are fun. But like I say, this race is fun too. You can be all the way down there where I just was in that turn. This is a good track to learn for the weekly time trial tournament, and that's actually because I'm running it with high assists and brake assists and all that. I actually struggle when the weekly time trial tournament is on this track because I just don't know how to drive it without assists. I've never never seriously attempted to drive it without assists on. So that makes it difficult for me when they run the weekly time trial tournament there. I'll try to remember to make a commentary once we come around that big, the big turn back there on this next lap. I got a little bit sideways and stuff there. It sometimes gets difficult to concentrate on these longer races, and I think that's why I prefer this one over the 10-lap race, because you don't have to maintain, you know, focus for quite so long. Somewhere right here where I just passed down the main straightaway with all the grandstands and everything, that's where last year during the 24-hour race on, you know, basically the final lap, the Toyota team just, something in the car just quit, and they ended up, you know, just stalled out right there on the main straightaway, and it was probably the strangest finish I've ever seen in a race, to where he was, you know, really in first place coming across the finish line, and he was several laps ahead, and then just because of how the rules are for the race, he ended up unclassified, finishing down in, you know, 35th or 40th position, something like that. I actually thought I saw another car in front of me for a moment there, which would be really odd for this race. You don't often catch other cars in this race. It's just because of how long it is. Sometimes in the Endurance Kings races, if you slow the computer cars down enough, you can catch cars pretty fast, because they have the Porsche RSRs in that race. So, you know, obviously they are very slow. So oftentimes you can catch those very quickly. Oh, right here off to the right, just on the other side of those barriers, off in the woods, there's actually a golf course there. I feel certain that it's not open on race weekend, but there is a golf course there, and it is, as far as I've seen, it is very not creatively titled, something like the 24 Hours Golf Club or something to that effect. You know, Golf Club Day 24 Hours, or you know, however. Which obviously they're, you know, using the marketing value of being inside the 24-hour racetrack, and I can't blame them for that. I think that would be a pretty fun golf course to play, even though I'm sure if you were actually over there for the race, there would just be no way to get in there and play the golf course. Because I'm sure they don't want golf balls going out onto the track. That just wouldn't be very prudent. That's probably my my biggest hobby, is playing golf. All right, race is over. I won by a full kilometer, 14 minutes and 1 second. Let's see. So the regular race earnings was 166,000 race dollars, and then that was doubled, and then 30,000 fame. So that was pretty good. If you can get to this race while your driver level is still in the 30s, one race using the agent, I think, will come very close to actually giving you a level up. But that's that. And then obviously the car is all the way down, not serviced, and even if you fully upgrade the car, it'll still be all the way in the red if you run the 4-lap race. And so continue on. So those 3 events, the 3-lap race at Silverstone, the 4-lap race at Panorama, and then the 4-lap race in the Master Series at Le Mans, those are progressively the best races that you can run without getting into something strange. There's really no need to try to run the NASCAR races until you need to run them. There's no need to try to unlock the Suzuka race in the Expert Series. Just run the Silverstone race and run the Panorama race as many times as you can, and get to the driver level that unlocks Master, and then just set a 1-track goal on getting to this race right here, and then start running this race, because this is really the race that's going to help you earn gold, earn race dollars, and really start progressing in the game. So I hope that's been a good help. I hope that answers a lot of questions, because as I said, this is really one of the biggest questions that I get. How do I earn gold? How do I earn fame? Well, right there, what I just did, that is really the only way that you have pretty much to do it. You just have to run a lot of races. So I hope that's been a help. I'll see you along again soon. Have a good day.